Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I think it's a question many of us asked before, but when there's an expiration date on your medication, do you have to throw it out, like over-the-counter meds and things like that? We're going to drill down through that and many other questions surrounding medication because she is the owner of Healthy Mindful Self. She helps people navigate chronic illness and safely integrate their medication and supplements. And she's also a certified mindfulness meditation teacher. And she just gets us in a good mood whenever we talk about meditation, which we're going to get to in a little while as well. Dr. Lisa Nezneski is back on the program with us. Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing well, thanks.
Good to have you back, and I'm glad we're going to do this today because so many questions regarding medication, expiration dates, just medication in general. I'd love, and a lot of times we center on meditation, so now we're going over to medication. What do you know? And by the way, let me just share with everybody before we even get into this, your credibility. You have been working in the pharmaceutical industry in many different aspects for literally decades. So trusted source right here. Let's say you have an over-the-counter med. Let's say it's a cold medication or whatever, expiration date. Should you use it after that date?
That's a really good example, Steve, because cold medication does degrade to something that's a different chemical. So if so you certainly do not want to keep your cold medicine around. There was a recent article published over the weekend where a pharmacist was discussing how to manage your medications when they're close to and beyond the beyond use date. So, for some things you can kind of use them and you don't really tell a difference. But for medication, it makes a huge difference because the older the product gets, the more it's impacted by where it's stored, by the humidity in the environment, and medications definitely degrade. So if you're taking something that you want a particular effect, particularly chronic medications that you take every single day, and it's beyond the use date, there's a good chance that you are not going to get the effect that you are expecting out of that. So the best way to handle that is to take your medications on time, to not store them. Don't hang on to them, set them aside for, well, maybe I'll have this again. If it's an antibiotic, take it till it's done. There shouldn't be any left over. If it's chronic medication, you need a refill maybe every 90 days or so. They're only going to give you enough of good in-date pills to last you those 90 days. So once they're beyond that time period, you will notice that they will not work as well. So
wow. Okay. I mean, fair enough to say when it comes to the chronic medication, most times your medical practitioner only prescribes what you need, shorter period of time. So expiration on those, you're probably going to use it before it would ever expire anyway. But when we look at cold medication, when we look at some of the over-the-counter meds, because those are the ones that, are sitting in your cabinet, and let's just assume that the environment is okay. Low humidity, right temperature, all of that. If it comes to an expiration date, should you just throw it out no matter what that product is? Or are there a few that, you know what, you can go 6 months, it's okay?
I wouldn't do that. I would not go 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. If it's beyond the use date, there's a good chance you're not going to get the benefit of the product. So I wouldn't do it. Personally, I would not do it.
No matter what.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. I'm going to push this. I'm going to keep going here. Things like an antacid, that type of stuff. Same deal. If it expired, get rid of it.
So are you talking like a liquid antacid or Tums chewables? The dosage form makes a difference. If you're keeping your antacid in the refrigerator, it might be good for maybe a month after, but
Okay.
still, yeah,
Interesting.
still, I
Yeah.
would,
All
yeah,
right. Well, there it is. Sometimes you don't want to hear that because we spend a lot of money on stuff, and it's just sitting there and you thought you were going to use it or need it by that time. But the thing that concerns me, what you said in the beginning, is that the chemical makeup actually changes. That's,
yes,
there's one thing where
yes.
the potency is a little bit less, but chemical change, bad. That's scary.
Yes, exactly. So when I was doing my residency, we would go through the crash carts and pull out the expired things from crash carts. That was one of our major activities that we would do, and it still goes on pretty much everywhere. Everyone keeps track of the drugs in the crash cart because they're not in the pharmacy; they're out remote from any location, and they may not be opened.
Hmm.
So you have an idea of which meds in there are going to be expiring, and those are replaced on a regular basis. So what was interesting to me is, now this was back, long time ago when I was a resident, but I pulled out an adrenaline uh, injection, and I had learned in pharmacy school that when adrenaline degrades, it becomes an amber color. And darned if this vial was already an amber color. So it definitely, they even stored appropriately, they can go bad quickly. They can change into something else. And it's just not worth it, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. So that what this says to me is that, and by the way, I'm looking up something that I saw today that I want to mention to you and get your feedback on it relating to medication. But what this all says is when you're buying those medications like Sudafed or anything that you're buying for allergies or cold medication, a lot of times we'll buy more thinking that we're going to use it. It's better to buy what you think you're going to need and maybe a little bit more and not go for the, let me save all this money and get the big one because you might not use it. I've done that so many times and
Right.
it's sitting there, or I will put it in my car and I'll just leave it there thinking that,
In your car.
I know I got that look.
Okay.
you know,
So,
I call it my, backup emergency use. Let's say,
sure.
you have an allergy attack, you're sneezing. I was like, or, or maybe you're dealing with a cold and then you forgot to take something in the morning. I got in my car, but,
Yeah.
you know, not the best
Okay.
environment, right?
Yeah. So, a couple of thoughts that are really coming in quickly with that. Of course, here in Florida, it's hot. Okay. So maybe not so much yet in the Northeast. However, because if a car can kill an animal from the heat, what do you think it's doing to your pills?
Mm, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So heat is one of the worst things for medications. So you definitely need to have some handy, but I think you need a man purse versus keeping it in your car.
Or that's not going to happen, but a
Okay.
better memory to remember you take your meds. Okay, funny we're talking about this today. This just came out, and these were tips. I forget where it's from, but it says that you shouldn't really store medicine in your medicine cabinet. The humidity from your shower can shorten its shelf life.
True.
That's what we're talking about. Um, Also, side note, not totally related, but you shouldn't store makeup or spare razor blades like shavers, because in your bathroom, the humidity, they'll start to rust. And,
Oh, yeah,
you
I've
know,
seen that happen. Yeah.
and another thing that just came out today and talks about basically it's a reminder about mixing medication with things. And the number one thing that grapefruit juice, you think it's all great, and it is in itself, but it can have some pretty serious effects when mixed with medication. Why is that?
So there's a chemical inside of grapefruit juice. The grapefruit itself has multiple active ingredients, pharmaceutically active ingredients. And when you eat a grapefruit, the naringin, which is one of the compounds, actually goes into your liver and gets preferential treatment by the liver. So by blocking the pathways, by usurping, by being the primary compound that the liver is going to eliminate first, all of your meds are sitting there waiting in line, increasing in blood level. So that's how.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not a benign interaction. It can be quite serious because, as I said, it interferes with the metabolism of the other drugs. And, there's a number of products that can push to a toxic level, to be honest. So be very careful with grapefruit juice
I want to make
and
sure I understand that.
grapefruits and grapefruits as well. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, I was going to go there. So we're talking about citrus fruits.
Just grapefruits.
It's just grapefruit. Hmm.
Right. Oranges do not have the naringin to that extent. Yeah.
So am understanding this right, Lisa, that when you have grapefruit juice, it's almost like it's the VIP in your liver. It gets, carte blanche. It's like, I'm here, everybody else out of the way. But while it's going through your liver, it's holding back the others, if you will, online to get in. And that's the medication, which allows those to start building up in I guess toxic compounds or toxic amounts.
Toxic blood levels, high
Yeah.
blood levels. Yeah, the
Wow.
blood level will increase. Yeah.
So final thought on all of this. It's not our perception that the grapefruit juice mixes with the medication and creates something that's really bad. This is a different type of situation.
Right. It goes into your body and creates that situation that's bad.
But it's not a interaction issue per se. It sounds like
It
it's
is.
something a little bit different. Yeah?
No, clearly it's a metabolic drug interaction. It's a different type of drug interaction.
Different
There are
type. Okay.
many different types of drug interactions. When you're talking about, say, taking iron and calcium, that's a basic drug interaction where the two of them will hook to one another and neither one will be absorbed.
Wow.
So it's a physical chemistry 101 kind of. This has positive valence, this one has a positive valence, that kind of hook together, and you never ever get them absorbed. So right, you have to, when they say separate the medication by several hours, that's because of those types of interactions where they could, you actually prevent them from being absorbed. So I'm going to go back to Dr. Wolfgang Ritschl. It's an actual guy by the name of Wolfgang Ritschl who taught pharmacokinetics, which is part of drug absorption. Give a shout out to him. He was a wonderful teacher, and he wrote a book on drug absorption and the various ways that the drugs can get into your body. So the lining of the gut, most of the time, if it's a water soluble product, it gets in no problem. It's like wide open. Now, if it's fat soluble, like the vitamins A, D, E, and K, they have a harder time crossing that membrane. They almost have to be engulfed and then brought through the membrane. So fat soluble drugs, fat soluble vitamins, they have a harder time getting absorbed. So you'll see more restrictions about what to do with your absorption of those types of products. So it's really fascinating to me to get into pharmacokinetics, which I taught for a number of years when I was at Duquesne University, and give Dr. Ritschl a shout out. But this stuff is really very basic, 101, what happens inside your body when you're taking a compound. That, this is part of the pharmacy training that all pharmacists get.
I want to go basic since we're here. And when you hear take it twice a day, what does that really mean? Is it, you know, is it okay? I took it at 6 a.m. Now I'm going to take it at 6 p.m. Or what's the latitude there in the window where you can take it again?
That's a great question. When I used to work in nursing homes, we would get into debates about this because twice a day in a nursing home is different than twice a day in your home, because there's you want to treat the resident of a nursing home as if they were home. So 4 times a day, oftentimes in a nursing home, is 9, 1, 5, and 9, not every 6 hours. 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 9 p.m. That's 4 times a day. So rather than Q6 hours every 6 hours, which is typically what you'd see in a hospital. Okay, 4 times a day in a hospital, evenly spaced out like that. So does it make a difference? If you're going to take the medication and you're going to remember to take it on time, and it's twice a day, it doesn't matter if it's 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. or 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., as long as you remember to take it. The more times you have to take medication throughout the day, the less you're going to remember. That's why
So,
so many medications are once a day medications, and so many are twice a day at most, because we know that compliance, adherence to the regimen is really difficult for anyone. We get busy. We forget that middle of the afternoon pill. Forget it. It just never gets done.
if you normally take your med in the morning, let's hypothetically say 7 a.m., and you forgot, now you take it a little bit later now, and let's just say you take it at 7 a.m. and you take the other, it's twice a day, you take the other, let's say around 5 p.m. Now you forgot to take the morning dose. Now it's like 11 o'clock ish. You take it then. What do you do about the second dose? Do you move that one a little bit later?
Take it on time. Take it on time. So let's say, like you said, 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. Okay, so that is a 10-hour difference. So you have a 5-hour window to make a mistake. In other
Okay.
words, to take it late. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
5-hour window. So if it's noon 30, you might as well wait till 5 p.m. But if it's before noon, let's say you normally take it at 7. If it's before noon, go ahead and take it. So you basically say, okay, well, half the distance, half the time, if you will, between the two, I'm going to just in the period of time, in that half time, that's the best time to take it, and then just start your regimen based on few things are that precise that you need to be exactly at that particular time. So if you just get back on schedule for the next dose and keep going. Now, this is a hypothetical, and every drug is a little bit different, and there may be some drugs that absolutely need to have a particular time because they begin to wear off relatively quickly. So, I'm giving that caveat that most of the time, if it's within the period of time that you normally would take it, not quite half the time until the next dose, then go ahead and take it. I hope that's clear.
Yeah. And what I'm looking at here is, or understanding from you, is that if you normally were taking it at 5 p.m., you need to stick to that normal 5 p.m. time. Is that just your body is expecting it then? Is that what we're talking about here? As opposed to, all right, I took the morning dose instead of 7 a.m., I took it at 11 a.m. So let me just move that afternoon dose later. Maybe I'll take it like 7 or 6:30 or something like that.
It's better to be on a set regimen than fool around with the dose times every day.
Okay. Well, yes, that's what I'm assuming. But what we're saying is if we took the morning dose a little too late, to not move the afternoon dose a little bit later, and maybe it's me, but I would just think, well, okay, it's going to be a different concentration in your body because now you took those two doses a little closer than you normally did. Is that just something we shouldn't even worry about?
Well, remember that drugs have what's called a half-life in your body. So your body handles the medication. So a half-life is that if you start off at 100 and in an hour it goes to 50. In an hour, it goes to 25. Just keeps reducing by 1/2. That's what a half-life is. So if you're taking the drug a little closer, but you still have a period of time between there, there'll be low enough drug in your body that it should relatively be insignificant.
Gotcha. Well, we're learning a lot today.
Yeah.
These are all those questions that all of us always wondered about. Any other things, Lisa? And I don't want to, just minimize it and say the basic stuff, but are there things that we should know when it comes to taking medication and all of that?
Well, drug storage is really important. And you mentioned just
Mm,
briefly the bathroom cabinet. I don't even call it a medication cabinet anymore
I
because
know,
it
right?
really shouldn't be in there, to be honest, because of the humidity from that environment.
I never,
So
by the way, I got out of that habit of keeping that stuff in there because usually it's a very shallow cabinet to start out with. You can't really store a lot. You can put your razors, toothpaste, toothbrush, things like that in there. I usually have a cabinet in the kitchen that's dedicated just for medication.
yes, yes, you would fit very nicely into my family.
I learned from the best.
It was really humorous. I was staying with my son in November, and an entire cupboard devoted to medications and supplements and things. And it's like it just makes your heart feel proud.
But you know what? I just thought of something. It's probably not from practicality. It's probably I started doing that decades ago because when you have company over, what's the first thing they do while they're in the bathroom?
Oh yeah,
And then you
exactly.
have all your meds in there. Oh, what's this? Let me Google that.
Uh,
What's wrong with them?
that's a Seinfeld episode for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. So, but as far as storage containers go, my medications are in a separate drawer. They have their own drawer, and it's dark, obviously, because it's closed, and it's organized by time of day. So I have all my morning medications in one area, all my evening in another area, and then I fill my containers, those medication containers,
Mm,
for a month, 28 days at a time. So
you do,
that,
really?
yes, 28 days. I have four of these containers that I like because they're portable. And there's each day of the week, morning and evening, and I'll fill 28 days at a time, like I said. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it's almost like you're some people do meal prep, you're doing med prep.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Never thought of
exactly.
doing it that far in advance, but you get it out of the way and you know what you got. You know what you
Exactly.
got.
And these little round tubes that have the 7 containers,
Hmm.
once it's filled, I bring it down to the kitchen and it sits on the counter next to the coffee pot because I'm gonna make coffee every morning. And then okay, I'll take my pills right now. So
Yeah,
they're
and
right here.
the other part is I think it's great. Um, yeah, the end of your medication from that cycle, and you know that you need to reach back to the doctor to send a new script over, depending on the med and everything. And you can put it on your calendar. Up, yep. Oh, wow. Okay, 28th is when I'm going to run out. If they haven't called it in by then, I'm going to make sure I take care of that. So yeah, you can be more proactive knowing what you have. I know we have no more time. Yeah,
All
I didn't
right.
know if we'd be able to talk medication that long, but yeah, a lot of great tips, a lot of great insight, stuff that we all relate to and we've all wondered about. And this is what you do. Not just the basic stuff, but people dealing with chronic illnesses, wondering about medication. You're also an advocate for a lot of people and patients in dealing with medication. How do we find you? Your website is your name, right, Lisa?
It is www.lisa, Lisa, Nezneski, Nezneski.com, and contact me when you've got questions like this,
Yeah.
yeah, specific to your situation. We did some generalities today, but everyone has different needs and different questions, so I'm available.
And it's great to you give such clarity and make it clear which is fantastic. You're not going to find that on the internet doing a Google search. You want to understand what's going on, not just some like quick answer. And that's what you give, information that's easy to understand. Lisa, always great having you on. I appreciate you and look forward next time we talk.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.